What happened to me shouldn't happen to anyone, but I'm glad it did. My bloodied lip served as a painful reminder of the injustices that often go unnoticed in the glimmering first-class cabin of an airline. I had just been disrespected by Brenda, the head stewardess, a woman who commanded both authority and misguided contempt. As a senior FAA inspector, I knew all too well that my presence was a violation of her unwritten rules, the kind that brands you as out of place. Unborn of that cabin, amid the indulgent whispers of the privileged, I fought against the pang of dismissal. Brenda, with her sharp eyes trained on me in disdain, had asked if I really belonged there. My meal was reduced to scraps while white passengers indulged in lavish service. The slightest gestures of support came from Richard, a white passenger who recognized the underlying hostility and quietly offered me his dinner. The tension built gradually. I confronted Brenda, my voice steady with determination, rejecting her veiled suggestion that I should find my way to economy. As the flight captain attempted to dismiss my concerns, a fire ignited within me. I stood my ground, asserting my rights, the subtle undertones of power shifting in my favor. Then came my moment of reckoning. I pulled out my FAA badge, a symbol of authority and a testament to my experiences. The shock on their faces, Brenda, Andrea, the captain, painted a vivid picture of disbelief. In those trembling seconds, I flipped the power dynamic, revealing the intricate web of systemic discrimination that I had come to expose. The cabin around us buzzed with newfound awareness, Richard's supportive nod amplifying the collective realization that change was needed. Reciber, that day forward, I became more than just a passenger. I was a catalyst for justice. The ensuing investigation unearthed a culture of discrimination at Horizon Airlines, leading to significant reforms. The resignation of the CEO and the formation of advocacy groups like Equal Skies marked a pivotal shift in an industry that had long turned a blind eye. Reflecting now on my first flight post-reforms, the warmth of a kind flight attendant's smile affirmed that change was possible. I urge others to come forward with their stories. Real change happens when we refuse to stay silent, when we unite to shine a light on the injustices that, like I once was, many remain unaware of. "Excuse me, can I help you with something?" Brenda's voice dripped with condescension as she glared at Camille, who sat alone in her first-class seat, a bloodied lip betraying her composure. "I was just hoping to order a meal," Camille replied, maintaining her dignity despite the throbbing pain. Brenda leaned closer, her sharp eyes boring into Camille's. "Are you sure you're in the right place? First class isn't just for anyone, you know." Camille felt the heat rise in her cheeks, humiliation flooding her system. "I have the ticket to prove it," she shot back, trying to mask her frustration. "Sure, but you know how it is." Brenda waved her hand dismissively, turning her back without waiting for Camille's retort. The disparity stung as she watched a nearby passenger receive a complimentary glass of champagne, while Brenda returned to him, ignoring Camille entirely. "Hey, I saw that." Richard, a white man in his 30s, leaned over. "Here, take my meal. You shouldn't have to deal with that." He pushed the plate toward her, a flicker of rebellion in his eyes. "Please, I don't need charity," Camille snapped, eyes narrowing in defiance. "It's not charity, it's what's right. She shouldn't be treating you like that." Brows raised, and Christine stood by, glancing nervously. "What's going on here?" Camille inhaled deeply, refusing to let them suppress her. "Why do you treat me differently? Is it because of my skin? Or do you think I don't belong?" Precarious scoffed, eyes widening. "I really think you should move." "No, I have the right to be here. You don't get to dictate where I sit." Camille stood, her voice steady, revealing the FAA badge clipped to her jacket. "I'm an inspector, and I've been documenting your behavior." The cabin fell silent, shock washing over their faces. Richard grinned, pride lighting his features. Camille straightened, finally flipping the power dynamic. "Now you'll be the ones explaining yourselves." Camille Dawson sat rigidly in her first-class seat, the sting of her bloodied lip still fresh from her earlier confrontation with Brenda, the head stewardess. Around her, the luxury of the cabin felt hollow, a stark contrast to the disdainful glances that followed her every move. The warmth and acknowledgement given to others lingered in the air, like a haunting reminder of the barriers she faced. each slight a stone sinking within her chest. "Do you belong here?" Brenda had asked dismissively, the question echoing in Camille's mind, igniting an ember of frustration that simmered just beneath the surface. As she watched Brenda lavish attention on a white couple seated a few rows ahead, Camille felt the well of anger rise. The steak they savored wafted tantalizingly, while the rubbery chicken on her tray seemed to mock her further. Richard, a passenger across the aisle, gestured with his half-eaten salad, offering her a bite, his silent acknowledgement a brief flicker of solidarity. Still, the isolation pressed heavier with each passing moment. Ediv's tone as he attempted to reassure Brenda only deepened her resolve. Camille knew she was more than the biases surrounding her. She was an FAA inspector, but today she felt invisible. "I don't accept this treatment," she whispered under her breath, an incantation against the dismissals, an affirmation of her right to exist unapologetically in this space. But there it was, the pivotal moment. As Brenda strutted back, an imperious air cloaking her actions, Camille took a steadying breath. Rising from her seat, a flicker of authority ignited within her. "I demand an explanation for this blatant discrimination," she declared, her voice steady, echoing across the cabin. The murmurs of other passengers turned into a swell of attention, lending her strength. With determined resolve, she reached into her pocket. Fingers clutched the cool metal of her FAA badge, an emblem of her position and purpose. Today, the shift in the energy felt palpable, a quiet intensity that foreshadowed the turbulent seas of change to come. Camille turned, meeting their shocked faces with unwavering eyes, fueled by the truth she had gathered long before this flight ever took off. Camille Dawson stood in the bustling first-class cabin, heart racing, as she wiped the blood from her lip. The encounter with Brenda, the head stewardess, surged in her mind. But instead of cowering, she drew strength from it. She took a deep breath and straightened her back, determination igniting within her. "Excuse me, Brenda," she began, her voice firm yet controlled. "I belong here just as much as anyone else on this flight. I won't let your decisions define my worth." The words hung in the air, stirring a mix of surprise and discomfort among the passengers. As the other passengers glanced around, some nodded subtly at Camille's assertiveness. Richard, the white passenger who had earlier supported her, leaned in. "Well said, Camille. It's about time someone spoke up." Dead, her gaze unwavering. Each small victory, the recognition from Richard, the acknowledgement of her presence, crafted a mosaic of courage she hadn't known she possessed. "I'd like to speak to the captain," she stated, her confidence surging. Brenda's facade began to crack. "You really think you can just—" "Unmarried, I don't just think, I know." Camille interjected coolly, retrieving her FAA badge from her bag. The change felt electric, enough to send a ripple through the cabin. The captain's shocked expression met her gaze. "You're an FAA inspector?" "Unsure," Camille replied, punctuating her words with purpose. "And I've been documenting everything." The room tightened with tension, the power dynamics shifting with each exchange. With clarity in her mind and courage in her heart, Camille sensed that this was merely the beginning. Change was not just possible, it was imminent. In the confines of first class, the atmosphere crackled with tension as Camille Dawson stood defiant, her bloodied lip a testament to the injustice she faced. Brenda, the head stewardess, wore a smirk that mirrored her disdain, unaware that the tide was about to turn. Camille surveyed the cabin, where privileged passengers indulged in their meals, oblivious to the silent battle unfolding around them. The confrontation escalated as Brenda dismissed Camille's rightful presence, suggesting she was an unwelcome interloper in this high-flying realm. The silent disapproval from Richard, a fellow passenger, echoed loudly as he offered his meal in solidarity, an act of courage against the backdrop of casual discrimination. Yet it wasn't enough. Camille felt the weight of the bias bearing down on her, the microaggressions forming a swell of indignation. Battleground, the moment of truth. With every ounce of strength and poise, Camille revealed her FAA badge, the metallic glint slicing through the air like thunder. Eyes widened, mouths gaped, disbelief rattling the foundational beliefs of those around her. Brenda's bravado crumbled as the condescending facade fell away, exposing her fear and embarrassment. The captain shifted awkwardly, unsure how to regain control, while the remaining passengers collectively held their breath, the atmosphere electric with a newfound understanding. As Camille calmly documented the scene, the consequences of systemic discrimination laid bare, Brenda's composure unraveled, the righteous anger surfacing among the passengers. Witnessing the cowardice of the airline staff was satisfying. Justice seeped in slowly, richly, like the warm light of a sunset after a storm. With the investigation initiated, Camille's actions rippled through the industry, igniting change and awakening dormant voices. As she stepped off the plane weeks later, the realization of progress enveloped her. A positive exchange with a flight attendant, a sweet reminder of the winds of change. In that moment, Camille felt a silent triumph. Not over-the-top revenge, but the deep-seated satisfaction of having turned the tide. Her journey incited a call to action, reminding all who watch that true justice begins with speaking out. As I sit here reflecting on that turbulent flight, I can't help but feel a mix of emotions. Yes, I walked away with a bloody lip and an unsettling reminder of discriminatory practices woven into the fabric of the airline industry. But through that confrontation, I discovered a deeper strength within myself. Strength I didn't know I had. It's ironic, really. The ridicule I faced turned into resolve. My actions weren't just personal. They resonated with many who've faced similar treatment in silence. When I revealed my FAA badge, the air shifted. The fear in their eyes signaled a shift in power, a recognition that no one is above accountability. I realized then that sometimes it takes a moment of unrest to ignite change. But that makes me wonder, do you think I went too far? Would you have taken a different path? Or would you have stood your ground, as I did? Have you ever had someone treat you like that? I invite you to share your stories in the comments. Let's together explore these crucial conversations around justice and bias. Your voice matters.